Hi everyone, Bren here. Welcome to this week's garden update where there's a lot going on. I want to show you how my tomato seedlings are growing and my plans for them. Plus there are so many more beautiful spring flowers in bloom that we will look at. And I have given in to temptation, which I always seem to do at this time of year, spring. You can't help yourself if you go to a garden centre, can you? But in this case, I just went to my local supermarket and I purchased some beautiful plants that are going to be very productive, crossing my fingers, in a few months' time. But first I'll show you some of the seedlings that I've potted on this week. I haven't been out in the garden much this week because it's been so hot. We've had 3 days where the temperature has been in the mid-30s. So rather than doing any heavy labor intensive jobs out here, I decided to hang out in the shade and pot up some of my seedlings. I've got Nigella, Queen Anne's Lace Chocolate, Queen Anne's Lace White, straw flowers. I need to give this one a bit of water. There's Status. I've also sown 2 trays of Amaranthus. The edible crops, which I sowed last week and really did expect to see some sprouts at this stage, still haven't popped through the soil, but you know, I reckon it's just a matter of days now before they make an appearance. Do you remember these 2 trays of zinnias I sowed about 3 weeks ago? Well, they are so slow to germinate. It's really quite patchy at the moment, and I was thinking to myself, it's because some of these seeds are old, but as far as I can remember, I have purchased a lot of new varieties this year, so they should be pretty fresh seeds. I'm not sure why they haven't popped up yet, but I'll give them a bit longer, and if I don't see any growth in here soon, I might just add in some extra seeds and try and get that going, because I really would love every single one of these cells to be full up with plants. But don't forget, even if they don't work out perfectly, I still have these 4 big trays that I potted up a couple of weeks ago. They're the Cut Blend Mixed Zinnia pack, which I'm going to be planting out into my new cut flower garden probably over the next couple of weeks. The Pride of Mandaria is starting to flower, always loved by the bees. Like, look at that. There's a couple there, and on the other ones I can see a few hovering around. One of my go-to salvias is this variety called Hot Lips, which is in full bloom. I absolutely love this plant. It's drought tolerant. It puts on a mass display of flowers every single year, and the plant just gets bigger and bigger. The bees love this plant too, and you know what? It actually attracts this native bee called the blue-banded bee. Now, I haven't seen them in a while, but for some reason they love these flowers. I'm living life on the edge showing you this plant because it's located in a bit of an overgrown area, and I'm not wearing the correct shoes. I need to go and grab my boots because I have noticed over the last week there has been a few posts on Facebook about red belly and eastern brown snake sightings in my area. I've got lots of clivia flowers in bloom around the garden. These grow really well in a shaded spot. And then there's also big drifts of these, which I believe are Japanese irises. They've got these really long strappy leaves which are evergreen, and then in spring it puts out these stems with clusters of blooms on them. And then over here beside a retaining wall there's this big patch of lavender, a whole drift of it, absolutely loved by the bees. And you know, I never realized lavender comes in more colors than just purple. Like, this is a lovely white one. Oh, look at the bees. I've got this purple and white one. I used to have a pink one, but it must have died. I'm going to harvest a bunch of these flowers and hang them up to dry, because this year I'm really keen on trying to make my own lavender infused honey. I just grabbed this tray from the greenhouse. It mostly has the tomato plants in here because I realised I haven't given you an update on them in quite some time. Quite a few of the varieties have germinated, although there are some which have no signs of growth, like the Tigerella. And I think this one, yeah, that was the Tommy Toe. And here is the green zebra, but not to worry, because I know with these I can buy plants of them in the garden centres, and actually I have seen tomato plants for sale now, so I might just go and grab a few of them. But with the other ones, what I plan on doing is potting them on. They're not quite large enough, to my liking at least, to be planted out into the garden. I want to get them a bit larger and stronger, so I'm thinking this weekend what I will do is, you know, put all of these into individual little pots and keep them in there for another couple of weeks before I plant them out in October. There's plenty of jalapeno seedlings. In here I have these tomatillos, and the one I'm most delighted about is this one, because I've tried to grow it before and failed getting the plants to, or the seeds to germinate. So I have got to the stage where they have popped through the soil. I've only got 3 plants, so I'm going to be very delicate with them because I really want them to survive. I would love to have some of these chilies this year. You may have noticed in that tray that I still haven't sown my eggplant seeds, so I just ended up going and buying a couple of plants from my local IGA. I've got 2 of the true and tested varieties, a large eggplant, I think that might be the Bonica eggplant, and then over here I believe this one is the Lebanese eggplant. And yeah, so I'm happy I bought the 2 of them, because if I was to wait for my seeds to grow at this stage, I don't think I'll be harvesting until maybe January or February. But hopefully now with these 2 purchases, I will be able to start picking eggplants by December if I don't wreck the plant before then. I also purchased some chili and capsicum plants. This one here is a bullhorn chili, which I've grown before in the garden, and it does really well in my climate. And I'm thinking this year, because it's going to be a hot, long, dry summer, these plants, the chilies and the capsicums, are going to do exceptionally well. Well, that's a hope if I keep the water up to them. So I've also got this one here, the long sweet yellow capsicum, which I've grown many times before. The plants just put out a real abundance of fruit. I'm looking forward to growing both of these, and I really want to get them in the ground soon, because if I do, it could possibly mean that I'll be harvesting from them by Christmas time. Oh, look what I just saw. I was heading over to the raised beds because I want to show you the potato onions. Look at this. This is one of the raised beds full of snapdragons, and some of them have been disturbed by the chickens, no doubt. That's a bit annoying. Looks like they got to this one too. I don't know how I didn't see them in here. We're over by the raised beds and I can see Snowflake there. The chuck that probably did that damage. But we'll act all innocent. Here are the potato onions that I was just speaking about, and oh, they've grown so much, haven't they? I do need to mulch the bed, cover it with some straw or sugarcane mulch, but look at this. They're just starting to do their thing, dividing up. I can see 4, 5 separate cells or stems here, so hopefully that means 5 separate onion bulbs. I've never grown clumping onions, or this particular one, the potato onion, before, so it's all new to me, but I'm happy with its growth so far. Look what I just spotted all over these carrot flowers. The ladybugs are back. Woohoo! I just need them to go over to the front garden and eat up some of those aphids that are growing on my Brussels sprout plants. There's more of them over here. Geez, they're all over this plant. Are there any on this one? Can't quite. Oh, maybe hiding in between the clusters of dainty little flowers somewhere. This is the raised garden bed where I popped in, I think it was 70 or 75 lily bulbs. It has been disturbed a little bit, and I'm not going to blame the chickens this time, because I have seen a lot of birds out here. Like, look at this, the bulb is exposed. I'm probably going to have to come in and tidy it up. But do you see what's happening? They're starting to pop through the soil. A couple of weeks ago I showed you the ranunculus plants, which weren't looking very healthy. They are starting to flower, but it's quite puny. The stem is short, the flower is small. Yeah, look at this one. But look how dry the soil is. It's going to be a really long, dry, hot summer, so I need to go and buy myself a few bags of sugarcane mulch and try and help this garden out. Otherwise, it's just going to be a big shriveled mess. The weather that we have ahead of us is on the forefront of my mind, and I need to be sensible when choosing plants to grow this summer because it's going to be hard, and I need those real drought tolerant plants out here that can survive the heat and the lack of water, because there's only so much watering I can do. When that soil is dry, it's really difficult to rehydrate it. Ooh, it's kind of exciting because it's a bit of a challenge, and I've been through it before, like many people here in Australia, through a drought and water restrictions. It's hard, but you really get to know your plants. You get to know which ones truly are tough, that can survive. I think I've got a bit of an idea, so we'll see how we go. Yeah, anyway, I'm waffling on again. Look at the state of my garden. I need to clean that up. There's so much to do out here. I just feel like the weeks are going by one after the other, and I'm getting further and further behind. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next Friday.